Welcome back into our coverage of the Weekend of Champions on this now Saturday night at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. We just saw the 3A state championship game, and it was a terrific contest, Chapman and Dillon. And for the first time ever, Chapman can call itself a football state championship. And at the same time, Chapman denied Dillon a state record fifth straight state championship. Final score, Chapman 29 and Dillon 27. Like I said, a terrific game, back and forth, all the way to the very end. This one was endowed, and early on, it was just an exchange of touchdowns between the two teams. Dillon scored first to go up 7-0, and then Chapman would tie it. Dillon then fell behind 14-7, then came back with a score to tie it up at 14. The Wildcats then scored again to go up 21-14 late in the first half, but Chapman came back on a run by DJ Twitty of 3 yards, and we had a 21-21 game at halftime. That kind of gave us a good indication of what the second half was going to be like, and one of the stars for Chapman was their place kicker and their punter, Carlos Montalva Cora, who hit a field goal, 31 yards in the third quarter to put his team up 24-21. Dillon came back a couple of minutes later, and it was a touchdown pass by Braden Hawkins to Marishi Irakunda, 19 yards, and Dillon goes on top, 27-24. And what's critical here is that they missed the extra point, and so that left him with a 3-point cushion. In the fourth quarter, early, Chapman defensively came up big. They had the Wildcats pinned back inside their own 5-yard line, and they got a safety. That cut the lead to 27-26. And then Dillon had to, of course, kick off to Chapman. And the Panthers moved the ball into Dillon territory, but they stalled. And with 9:30 to play, they called on Montalva Cora once again, and he was true on a 43-yard field goal. That put Chapman up 29-27. Still a lot of time left. And the way these two offenses had been going, you figured there would be more points. But there would not be more points. Both defenses were really stout over the last 9.5 minutes. Chapman did not allow Dillon past the Chapman 46-yard line in those final 9+ minutes. The Wildcats just could not sustain anything, could not get anything going. And so they never got the chance to get down for a potential game-winning field goal or even sniff the end zone for a touchdown. So kudos to the Chapman defense for rising up big in the final 9:40 and preserving that 2-point lead. In terms of the stats, pretty even, 395 yards for Chapman, 338 for Dillon. Chapman doing most of its damage on the ground with 218 yards. And for the second time today, we had a running back go over 200 yards. DJ Twitty of Chapman on 44 carries. He had 202 rushing yards. He had 44 of the 16 carries for Chapman. Those other 16 went to their very tough quarterback, Colton Bailey, who he took some shots from the Clemson defense today, but he kept coming back. He did pass for 179 yards. He was sacked 5 times. For Dillon, they're a very fine running back, Johnny Allen, 19 carries, 188 yards for him. And the quarterback for the Wildcats, Braden Hawkins, was 12 of 28 for 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the dynasty for Dillon, built primarily in the 2A ranks. Now they moved up to 3A this year and had a shot at a 5th straight state championship, but the Wildcats were denied this time by Chapman in Dillon, and Chapman enjoying the first taste of the champagne by winning its first state championship here at Williams-Brice. That final again, Chapman 29 and Dillon 27. The Panthers close out at 12-3 and the Wildcats at 13-2. That's 2 games down today and 1 more to go. It's the 5A state championship game just underway below me here at Williams-Brice. This is Boiling Springs, a neighbor of Chapman's from the upstate. Boiling Springs taking on the powerhouse #1 ranked Dutch Fort team. That game just underway here. We'll have a complete wrap-up for you on that later on this evening. Thanks for joining us. Check back later for the review of that 5A championship game. That'll do it for now from Williams-Brice.